Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name is Mal and I'm the owner and maker of Made by MANIANDMAL, and I'm so happy that you're here. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a striped tumbler, but this one is inspired by my January monthly challenge in my Patreon group. As some of you may know, I do have a Patreon group, and every month in my group, I will host a monthly challenge for my members, and I'll give them some sort of rule or parameter or something that they have to incorporate into their cup to enter the challenge. So for January, I gave them this color palette right here. I absolutely just love all of the bright colors. It really puts me in a good mood, gets me ready for springtime, and I just fell in love with it. So in today's video, I'm going to show you what I did using this color palette and kind of the concept I came up with. And yeah, I hope that you enjoy the video. If you would like to become a member of my Patreon group and get in on this next monthly challenge, along with a whole bunch of other benefits, you get free SVGs every month, weekly live tutorials, one exclusive tutorial every single month that is just for my members, and a whole bunch of other benefits. So if you would like to join, there is a link down in the description box. You can go to patreon.com/MBMM Elite to sign up, and then you'll have access to all previous exclusive tutorials, all of the live videos we've done, and all of the SVGs that I've uploaded since the group started. So if you want to get in on that, you can join at the link below. Okay, I think that's it. I hope you like the video. Let's go! We're starting with a 30-ounce skinny straight from Craft Haven, and I took measurements of my cup. It's 9.5 inches high, 10 inches around, and what I want to create is a stripe template with 6 small stripes and 1 larger focal stripe. So the first thing you'll want to do is decide how big you want your focal stripe to be out of your height of your tumbler. So I decided on 3.5 inches high. That would make it easy for me to make all other stripes 1 inch, and then we'll have 9.5 inches of height total. So for my first stripe, I put in those dimensions, 3.5 by 10, and now I'm going to duplicate that stripe and resize that one to be 1 inch high, same width, and then I'm going to duplicate that stripe 6 times, and I'm coloring them just so I can keep straight which color glitter I'm going to put where. So once I've got all of my stripes laid out, I'm going to kind of orient them and space them just to see, kind of visualize. I'm changing the colors to decide where I want to put the glitter. And then I'm going to lay them out on my canvas so that I can cut them out. I'm going to cut out all of the colored stripes out of stencil vinyl. And then I'm going to cut out the black stripes out of our pattern vinyl. So what I'm doing there is just aligning everything to make sure that my dimensions are correct, and then I'm going to cut out the right size of all my shapes. So I've got my colored stripes there out of stencil vinyl, and then the black stripes will be our floral pattern vinyl. So once I've got all of those cut out, I'm going to get to mixing my glitter. I'm using all custom glitter mixes for this design because I wanted to match the color palette that I posted as closely as I could. So starting with the yellow, I'm taking 3 PDB glitters. I have Bliss, number 2, and lemon meringue, and the recipe for this mix is up on the screen. I'll have all of the recipes up, so if you want to replicate any of these glitters, you've got my exact recipe. So I'm just going to mix that together. Look how beautiful that is. And what I did with all of these glitters is I incorporated a little bit of a kind of iridescent shifty glitter into each of them to make them look the same. You'll see once they're on the cup, but I wanted them to kind of have the same texture. The next color we're mixing is our orange, kind of light coral color. I've got 3 PDB glitters for this one as well. We're using Bellini, Persimmon, and Candy Queen, and I'm going to mix all of those together again in a big cup. I'm mixing not a ton, but definitely more than you'll need for this project. So if you're only going to mix these glitters and use them one time, I would kind of lower the ratios a little bit, but I like to make more than I need just in case I want to use it again. So the next color is our kind of fire coral. I named this one Hot Fire because that's what it reminds me of. So we're taking the same 3 colors from our orange and we're going to add a few more in to give it that deep red fire coral vibe. So after the 3 colors from the orange, I added in watermelon sugar and then Lover. Both of those glitters are from PDB. And then to add in the kind of chunky iridescent shifting element, I added Tiny Dancer from Peachy Olive Glitters. And look at her, holy moly. The next color we're going with is our light green color. So I'm taking 3 colors from Peachy Olive Glitters to start. I'm taking Sublime, Paradise, and Shamrock. And then for our green kind of chunky iridescent color, I'm going in with Key Lime from PDB. And I don't usually love greens. I'm really kind of in a green mood lately, so this color made me really happy. And then the final color we're going with, which is going to be the color of our big main character stripe. I've got 4 glitters from PDB. I'm taking first Stuck With You, and then Persephone, which is our chunky kind of fun shape element. And then I'm taking Minorca, which also kind of has that little iridescent shift that I'm looking for. It's just not as big of a chunky, which was totally perfect. And then to lighten this up a little bit, I'm adding in Astrid to make this kind of more of a pastel-y kind of aqua color. So mixing all of that together, this is like definite Tiffany vibes. I'm really loving that one. So now that I've got all of my glitters mixed and ready to go, I'm going to apply my stencils to my cup. So I've got my stencil vinyl here cut out, and I'm going to weed these stripes out. And you can totally use tape for this if you would prefer to use painter's tape instead of a stencil. I just always like the precise measurements that a stencil will give me. So starting with my first 1-inch thick stripe, I'm going to place that one right up at the top rim, like right up at the top. I want that to be kind of our guide to set us up for success for the rest of the template. Then I'm going to take my next 1-inch stripe and I'm going to apply that one at the very bottom of our cup. So now we can kind of work our way in towards the middle and make sure that our large main character stripe is centered exactly where we want it. So I cut off a little piece of the end of that bottom 1-inch stripe just to add as a little spacer, because that's where our pattern vinyl is going to go. And then I'm going to apply my third stripe up at the top, our 1-inch stripe, all the way around the cup. And then I'll be able to place our main character stripe right underneath that one and know that it's perfectly centered. I added my last 1-inch stripe underneath the big one, and now I'm ready to go in and apply my pattern vinyl. So I cut off one little piece of the backing so that I can apply this the same way I would a full vinyl wrap. I'm going to wrap it around the cup, make sure that I've got it on there straight, and then I'm just going to smooth the stripe onto the cup just how I would. Here we go, very easy. And I waited until the very end to place these because I wanted to make sure that they were placed right in the middle of those 2 stripes. You can, of course, if you wanted to place your first one, then your pattern vinyl, then your third one of your stencil, you can totally do that, whatever you prefer. This was just easier for me to do in my head. So there's my stripe lined up. I'm not going to cut off any excess because you can't tell that it is overlapping, so I'm just going to leave it as is. And then I'm going to remove that top stripe from my cup. And I'm saving these stencils. I'm not ripping them or anything when I take them off. I'm being careful so that I can reuse them because I don't want to waste all that stencil vinyl. So when I go to make another cup with the same design or template, I already have one cut and I can just reuse the one I have. So once I've got my 2 pattern vinyl stripes applied, I'm going to remove the rest of my 1-inch stripes, and then I'm going to go in and use my 1-inch painter's tape to tape off the pattern vinyl to protect it from our paint and our glittering. Now, like I said, you could totally go in with painter's tape for this entire thing if you wanted to. If you have 1-inch tape or whatever size you're doing, if that's easier for you, go for it. You can avoid the stencil entirely. It's just personal preference for me to use a stencil. That's just what I'm more comfortable with. Anyway, so now moving into our base paint layers for these glitter stripes, I'm just using acrylic paint from the craft store. I've got a yellow, a light green, and an orange. For the green and the orange, I added a little bit of white to them to lighten them up a little bit. And I'm just going to use a regular old paintbrush here and base paint each color stripe onto the cup. I'm going to do 2 coats of paint to make sure that we have really good coverage here. So for the bottom stripe color, I used the coral paint mixture that I mixed together way at the beginning of January with all of Pop of Color paints. I've been using this a lot lately. I'm really glad I mixed a lot of it, but I'm going to paint the bottom stripe and the very bottom of the cup. And I'm going to let those base coats dry for probably about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to go in with my second coats of paint. I did add a little drop of Crystalac glitter glue into each little paint color to just help the adhesion, because I'm going to use this coat as the adhesive for my glitter. So for the top one, I went in with my light orange color and then going down into the green, adding that one. And you can kind of see what I mean by that iridescent kind of chunky element tying these colors together. These colors like don't actually coordinate, but having that chunky iridescent element in each glitter mixture kind of helps tie them together just a little bit. I did add some glitter glue to my hot coral mixture as well, and I'm going to glitter the bottom stripe as well as the entire bottom of the cup. I want that to be a seamless coverage, you know, from the side all the way down to the bottom. So once I'm done glittering, I'm going to remove all of my tape and that big stencil from the middle stripe there. So we should be left with no tape or stencil vinyl anywhere on our cup. And then I'm going to go right in with our next glitter color. I'm going to mix my little aqua paint here with some white to lighten it up, because this middle portion is where our decal is going to go. So I don't want it to be too in your face bright. I let that first coat dry about maybe 20 to 30 minutes, and then I went in with my second coat of paint, and I'm using that as the adhesive for this aqua glitter. Look at this glitter on this aqua base. Holy moly, Breakfast at Tiffany's vibes faux show. I love this so much. So I'm just going in, covering that entire section with this glitter, and now our cup is fully glittered. I'm going to let this dry at least 2 hours. The glitter glue takes 2 hours to dry, so I'm going to let it sit until then. And once the glitter is all dried, I'm going to wrap the cup in some parchment paper to make sure all of my chunky glitters are laying flat. And then I'm going to take a chip brush to wipe off any glitter from our middle floral pattern vinyl sections. And then I'm going to take my glitter glue and individually seal each of these glitter stripes. I don't want any of these glitters to move. I don't want any contamination or mixing of my stripes. I want everything to remain really clean. So I'm going in individually sealing each stripe with my glitter glue, and I'm cleaning off my brush in the process. Just make sure you do that. And once my cup's all sealed, I'm going to let this sit overnight, fully dry, and then I'm going to go in with my first coat of epoxy. This first coat was about 30 milliliters, and you can see I'm not worried about just applying the epoxy to the cup like normal. Our glitters are well sealed, so you can just apply like normal. After this first coat cured, I went in and added a second coat of about 15 to 20 milliliters, and now my cup is ready for sanding. I want to get this as smooth as possible, so I'm going to go to town sanding, and then I'm ready to start with my first decal element. So this cup is a mental health awareness cup. I think mental health is really important, especially during times like we're in now. So I wanted to kind of draw attention to mental health awareness. So I found this image on Creative Fabrica. It's a brain with some flowers on the other side, and I'm going to use a clear water slide to get the full color of this image. And I printed it out on my clear water slide, and then I made a duplicate of that and just cut it out of regular white Oracal 651 vinyl and placed that on my cup first. And now I'm going to apply the clear water slide to this white vinyl so that it really pops off of the tumbler with this color. I've done this a bunch of times. I do have a dedicated water slide video where I go over this technique in detail. I made that video last summer, I think, but it is on my channel if you want to know more about how I do all of these water slide techniques. The key to getting this right is keeping your surface as wet or damp as possible. This will really help you move the water slide around and make sure that it is positioned correctly on your white vinyl. And then once you've got it placed, you can use a paper towel, tissue paper, coffee filter. I like to use the silicone makeup brush to brush out any excess water and make sure that my water slide is smooth on my cup. So there it is. I'm going to let this spin on my turner in front of a space heater for about an hour, and then when it's fully dry, I'm ready to go in with my stripe detailing. I'm using this holographic vinyl from Tech Wrap Craft. I use this in my Stay Groovy Peekaboo tumbler tutorial, and I'm using it again here. So I cut my stripes out at 11.5 inches long. I always cut them at that length so I have excess to cut off, and I made them 0.13 inches wide, and now I'm just carefully placing them where my glitter colors meet up right in the middle of those seams there. And I'm just trying to get all of my seams to match up in the back of the cup, so we don't have random seams all over the place. You can't really see them, but I just like to keep them in the same kind of line. So once I've got all of those applied, I'm going to spray my cup down with a coat of matte clear spray from Rust-Oleum, and then I'm going to go in with another coat of epoxy. I don't know about you, but one of my absolute favorite things about this whole entire tumbler process is going from a sanded glitter like matte surface and then applying that coat of epoxy over it and just seeing the shine come to life again. Oh, chef's kiss. It's one of my favorite things. So once that coat of epoxy was all cured and dry, I'm going to go in and apply our next layer of decals. So I cut out this Be Kind to Your Mind decal out of vinyl. The brain image does come with this quote on it, but I wanted to cut it out of vinyl and kind of place it over the stripes in this kind of two-step process. So I just made my own Be Kind to Your Mind quote, but the image does come with one. So this first layer, the offset, I'm going to use some really bright holographic vinyl from Tech Wrap Craft. I made the offset at 0.04, I believe, or 0.035, and I'm placing that with my parchment paper technique to make sure that I get it centered where I want it to go, kind of surrounding my brain. And then I'm going to go in with my main decal here. This is cut out of the same vinyl we used for our striping detail, the holographic black vinyl, also from Tech Wrap Craft. So once I was finished applying the vinyl to my cup, I did spray it again with a coat of matte clear spray to seal all of that vinyl in and prevent any lifting. And then I went in with my final coats of epoxy. I did 2 coats over the decal to make sure this was totally smooth. Each coat was about 15 milliliters of a little extra ink epoxy, of course. By the way, I do have a discount code for ALE. I didn't mention that, but it is linked down below in the description box. So here is the final result. I love how this cup turned out, and I'm so happy with all of these custom glitter mixes. You guys know I love mixing my own glitter, so being able to use 5 of them on one cup was really fun to put together. If you like the video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And if you would like to join my Patreon group and get in on all of the fun and benefits we've got going on over there, you can join at patreon.com/MBMM Elite. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, love you. Bye.